from Baller Mom, and thank you for everybody that's going to be joining me today. I have another special person that will be featuring on my Baller Mom feature series, and this is Coach Kareem Griffin, a well-known leader of basketball for especially women basketball here in Canada and Toronto particularly. And we're going to be talking about a little bit about how he started, what he's currently doing, and what's ahead for the future with regards to female athletes and female basketball here in Canada. So allow me a few moments where I'm going to invite Coach Kareem, and we'll begin. So Kareem, I just sent you the invite. Once you see it, you can go ahead and accept it, and we can begin. And thank you to everybody that's going to be tuning in or watching a little bit later. This will be posted on the IGTV as well as YouTube, so you can catch up all the conversations afterwards. Hi, Kareem, how are you? Can you hear me? Oh, hello?
Oh, okay.
Hi,
I'm here. All right, perfect.
how are you?
How you doing? I'm good. I'm
Good.
good. Thanks for having me on. Thank you.
Yeah. For sure. And you can hear me too, though, right? I just want to make sure my voice.
Oh yeah, perfect. I got my headphones because I usually don't, go on use my phone. I'm usually like on a Zoom, so
Oh, yeah.
it's just easier to use my laptop. So, but I'm on my phone right now. I'm giving you like close cam right now.
No problem. No problem. So, how's everything, brother?
Everything's well, other than, Ford's message today, that was, kind of uppity down, other than that, I'm blessed to be alive and, thankfully COVID free.
I hope so. I know it means that they can go outside now and do training outside or practice outside. Um, but with a limited number, like, still doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean?
You know what? Any exercise is good exercise, whether it be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour. It's for me, it's the time that you put into it. Make use of the time that you have and put everything into it. If it's 5 minutes, give it the best 5 minutes that you have.
Yeah.
If it's whatever time that you have to put into putting in a healthy exercise and a balanced diet. Because especially in this day and age, where we are with pandemic, where being at home, it's so easy to go and get something to eat, or go get that snack, or just lay on the
Yeah.
couch and just not really go outside. And Canada being 6 months of the year, in wintry wonderland, that there's a lot of factors that doesn't help that the cause. So if anybody, if you can go out and get a workout in, get a run, if you have a bike, whatever. And I mean, Toronto's beautiful
Yeah.
now. And Canada is beautiful at this time of the year and moving forward. So if you can get out, I would suggest get out as much as you can.
Weather lately within the last few days, so take advantage of it as much as you can. But I know the anticipation of wanting to get back into the team, competitive, and all of that is there. So I guess it's just a matter of time, right? Slowly, we all have to tread lightly. So I want to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself to those that may not know of you, may have not read the various articles or the various interviews that you had before. So who is Coach Kareem Griffin?
Well, I don't like being called a coach anymore because
Okay.
I don't. I mean, I've done that for 20 years, and I'm kind of like hanging my hat on that. It's in good places now, so I'm more so on the back end of things, kind of getting things together, making sure platforms are ready. Uh, to introduce myself, obviously Kareem Griffin. By day, I run an organization called Canletes Sports. It's a platform dedicated to women's Canadian women's basketball in our country. We pride ourselves on being the premier platform for women's basketball in our country. Uh, we do various events. Well, not now because of COVID, but pre-COVID, we host a circuit of events throughout the year dedicated to women's basketball. We do not even move into the men's basketball space. Everything that we do is women based. I'm not even, the founder of Canletes is a former player that I coached when she was younger, Leanne Osei. She's the founder of Canletes, and I'm just here to help her direct it and put it in a rightful place. And I mean, that's what I do by day. By
Yeah.
night, I work for Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment Partnership. And more specifically in the building operations conversions department. In the nights, usually I'm the guy that puts the floor down, takes it up, puts hockey or basketball or concert mode for the Scotiabank Arena. So for 41 games out of the year, I get to put the court down for 41 games. I get to see ice and all that in between. It's concerts and everything else that
Wow.
MLSC and Scotiabank Arena, have in store for our Canadian fans. So ask me when I sleep, probably never. If my friends and coworkers at at Scotiabank Arena, that they'll say that I sleep all the time, but if they actually knew how many hours I put in, like I need that kind of 1 or 2 hour sleep. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much me in a nutshell. Now that MLSC the arena's closed, I'm more focused on Canletes and the development of it.
And honestly, the Kent Leads, I would say, is a well needed platform for females in Canada. And there's a little birdie or a little news or something that was out there with regards to the amount of female student athletes that you have helped over the course of years. I know you said you put the coach hat down a little bit, back a little bit further, did you play sports? Were you an athlete? If you did, what did you do? And how was it that led you to where you are now?
Well, in my mind, I was always an athlete. I've never not been an athlete in my mind. The reality, I didn't get to play basketball at the highest levels. Actually, baseball and hockey were sports that I was predominantly serious on. I'm old school. Like I'm old Toronto. I'm T dot. I'm screw face repping the T dot. So I'm back in there. When before the Raptors got here, and when there was no team. So and I lived in a neighborhood that had the military. So there was a lot of predominantly white environment on one half of our neighborhood that was they weren't into basketball. It was straight hockey, it was straight baseball, and that's what pretty much ran the neighborhood I grew up in.
Okay.
Until the military moved out, then basketball kind of came in right at the same time. So then everything shifted because it was more of an urban sport. You're watching Michael Jordan,
Yes.
the Bulls winning, the love for basketball, that's where it came from. It started with that. Watching Michael Jordan win the '91 finals, that was where it was. That's where it started for me, specifically in like my love and watching the sport and just being, a fan of it, and then having friends that continuously played at a high level where I couldn't play.
Okay.
So that's pretty much where I was, invited into the high performance side of basketball, that I had strong friendships with some of the guys that were deemed as high level.
Wow. And I guess you probably start more within the high school level, or are you more from elementary or more college, university?
I would never coach anything less than or younger than grade 9. Like that's just I'm the attention span is just not my style. And I also at that level, I look at those kids as a group that still is enjoying the game. The purities of it's fun. I love it. I like to play. I enjoy it. It's still in them. You're kind of instilling the love in them. So it can't be so business.
Yeah.
in my opinion, at that age level. So I kind of stay away from in coaching that. I would never coach it. But high school and up, that's all me. And I was more because it's more focused. The kids are more focused on what they want. I want to play basketball at the collegiate level, or I want to do this. Like, you can have more realer conversations with them, and you can give them more of a realistic scope as to, well, what work do you need to put in to achieve this goal, and now it's up to them independently to come back to you and get it done. So I mean, I would say that the numbers of the hundreds would be a combination of coaching, but it would be more so the platforms that we've set for, with Canletes Sports. And in that every year our events generated more than 500 young ladies a year in various tournaments, camps, showcase games, all-star games, and just putting it on a terrific stage. And I mean, being a part of the men's side of basketball, and especially the business side of things, I got to see how they took it serious and sized it to women's basketball, and give them the same types of celebrations, because it was needed. And I also felt that let's not make this the undercard game for the main boys game. Let's make their game the main game. And once that's done, like, the event's over. Like, they got to feel that feeling of not just being the undercard. They got to feel like, yeah, we're main stage. This is my game. People are coming here to see me. It's here. And it goes a long way. They play a lot harder. They take it a lot more serious because, people are there to watch them. It's not, I'm just here and they're only here to get a seat so that they can watch the real game. Like, this is the real game.
Wow. Now, okay, so with it being female, I know you mentioned a little bit more about the male aspect because that's your night one. How hard or how easy was it to try to get that interest, especially with the female side? Because in those early stages where you started, as you said, Jordan, everybody always see the male, aspect of the higher end sports. Even in soccer, we always see the male higher, aspect of it. Rarely do we ever see the female side of it. So with that, what were some of the steps that you took to keep bringing it up to the forefront and say, hey, we have these dedicated athletes. Yes, they're females, but they're here to play and come and watch them and, see the talent that we have. Like, what were some of the steps or challenges that you had to go through to get that message across?
I don't think I don't look at them as challenges. Okay. I just looked at it. This is, these are the steps that we have to do. Like, when you're in women's basketball, like, everything's a challenge. Everything. Getting gear, getting people to come to the games, getting people interested, making a story, like, all that stuff. Like, you got to do the most. You have to do the most. So I don't look at them as challenges. Like, it's just, okay, this is what we have to do. Like, what's the marketing strategy, behind it? And, pretty much I just used my likeness. I was getting all these accolades moving forward, and any room that I was in, it was about, if you're talking to me, we're going to circle and talk about women's basketball, especially in this country. Yep. My conversations were women's basketball. This is what it is. WNBA team. Like, I'm saying those things in all the major places that I'm going into because
awesome.
It's a conversation that needs to be mentioned. It has to keep being said. It can't just be a Twitter conversation or, an IG story. It's gotta be in the boardrooms and in the places where people make the decisions. Exactly. So, for myself and in the promotion of it, like I said, I don't think it was for me. It wasn't super difficult. I always was able to use, coaching as a platform to use that, and I had great relationships. Again, some of my best friends are in the men's basketball space. So 100% they're listening to everything I have to say, when it comes to women's basketball. So, they have no choice. If I got to listen to them and their things, like, they got to hear me, so, and for the most part, I mean, they've been great about it because, now they're seeing, similarities in between the men's and the women's space, and they're more interested and they're more engaged in actually learning. like, well, how does it work with this? Because, let's be honest here, working with women's basketball or women athletes and male athletes, it's like total night and day. How you approach, how you target them, how you rope them in, how do you, let them, be creative. Like it's a totally different process and setup just based on different gender. So they're interested, and for myself, I mean, I'm a male, so and I've been in the male space, enough to know what it is, but there's still intricacies that I don't know, that because they're in that space, I'm learning from them, and I'm applying it to anything that we do in the women's space, because if it works for them, it has to work over here. It just, how do you implement it into the ecosystem and let the environment take to it, and not reject it.
Exactly. Wow. That's a good learning or curve point in making sure that you're not just only talking in one pinpoint, but for the love of the game and the aspect of how it is. There's so many different things that you can take from. I mean, one person I spoke to before is like, that's another thing in terms of athletes being multi-athletes, different sports, because there's different things that you can take in. So in this case, yes, with your females, but you could still learn the from different aspects. And I'm sure your male colleagues who have male students will take some stuff from you and also apply it to their male side, especially as we've been seeing with the whole NCAA that just passed, with the amazing Canadian athletes that were there, as well as the WNBA that's in its 25th year and it's getting all these accolades. But I agree with you that we have to consistently be also talking about it. It can't just be, like you said, hashtags only, because hashtags don't go much if you just close off the phone and it doesn't take anywhere. It has to be in the boardrooms. It has to be in, forefront of those that are decision makers, and see that there is a demand for it. So kudos to that in keeping that conversation going. And honestly, if there's anything you need me to share, just let me know. I'll bring it. We'll see, because the interest is there and they're just as talented. But somebody put a quote in there about, the only difference about this BNB now is just that now you're watching. Like, it's not that it's that not real life. They're forced to be ready. So good job on that.
Yeah.
So you've gone through your own, starting lineup of how which sports you were good at, which sports you like, and you find a love for basketball, and then you led into the coaching aspect of it, and now you're in the corporate side of it in terms of developing these athletes. And you were saying from grade 9 and up, because that maturity level is there, and you can communicate and help them assess who they are as they progress. Now, with that being Canada, majority of the forefront that most people look at is, I want to go to the States. I want to go to NCAA. I want to go to, NAIA. I want to go to all these different types of universities or colleges that are in the States. Out of those that you have been helping, like, what do you see to be the landscape here for even Canadian universities in helping female athletes still continue to be an athlete and still build on their, on themselves to still have a career beyond just bouncing the ball?
So I'll say that, like, I've coached at every level in this country. So I've been blessed to coach at the high level, at the high performance level, at the high school level, at the college level, and at the university level. I can say that for all of them, they do try within the financial means to help high performance athletes be high performance athletes. It's the toughest part is there's no governing rules in terms of, like, there's a governing rule of how much money that they can give, but in different leagues in the country, it's just different. Like what they can give is different.
Okay.
And it's just based on proximity. I think that people need to do their research. Okay, so I'm doing, we do research for women's basketball all the time, obviously, and what we're doing right now is we're looking up how many kids or how many young ladies have signed Division I scholarships, how many have signed letter of intents to play in Canadian schools. The numbers showed up. It's about 156 Canadian signees going to Canadian universities versus 26 going to Division I. So there's still an abundance of kids still going to Canadian universities. The problem is, and this is for me and for you, we don't, in the Toronto people don't see outside of our bubble of Toronto and the GTA. So we think that, you know, whatever's happening in the GTA is it's happening everywhere. And it's the exact opposite. You know, our city wants to go to America left, right, and center.
Yes.
Our province, I would say that they share that same type of feeling. Everywhere else, not so much.
Wow.
You know, we did the numbers and for last year. So all the Division One signees, it was 103 out of 4,500 Division One athletes. 103 of them are Canadian women.
Wow.
So there's not a lot.
Wow.
And then I would even go as more specifically, I'd say one of them was from the East Coast. So that was the makeup of all the provinces in the Maritimes. A few of them were from Quebec. The majority was from Ontario. None was from Saskatchewan. One was from Alberta. So it's not what you think that it is. You know, there's still kids here that are really good that could play Division One that choose not to, that stay in Canada and they play and they perform and you know, they just do it the Canadian way. You know, the American way is, you know, the scholarship, and I understand why they need the scholarship, because who has $150,000 over 4 years?
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know, they need the scholarship. With us, our universities, the tuition is not even as nearly as high if you want to just be a regular student. If you want to be a high performance athlete, it's going to cost you a little bit more money just because you want to maintain your athletic status as a person, as a player. But if you just went to regular schooling in Canada, the cost is not nearly as expensive.
As it is.
You know, as it is in America, right? So for me, the numbers of kids still staying in Canada, it's definitely higher. It has to be.
Yeah.
You know, these kids just don't stop playing basketball. Our Toronto GTA market is just so in its bubble, consumed in its bubble, and doesn't care to look at U Sport as an option, and they really should, because I mean, I watch a lot of players, and our Ryerson team, I should say, Kenny Giles can kill all of them in her heyday. She was Defensive Player of the Year, Player of the Year in the league. Not to mention, she killed it in the classroom. She's on her way to being a lawyer right now, and she went to university at Ryerson. You know, she played out her years at Ryerson. She was a part of making that program special, and knowing, you know, people know what Ryerson women's basketball is based off of, you know, her hard work and the other ladies that you know, played alongside that team. You know, and she's not even from, you know, the GTA in Ontario. She's from Manitoba.
Wow.
You know, she's not even from here. You know, she's a Black woman, wanted to come to you know, the big city, and you know, she performed, and she's killing it, and she's killing it in her life right now with, you know, things that she's doing.
Wow.
So I think, you know, to kind of just wrap things up, I don't think that people just can't look at, they have to look at the Canadian option. You have to, you know, you have to. You got to come back here. For most kids, they got to come back to Canada. So does your degree even transfer? Is the school that you're going to, isn't it an accredited university that if you want to do your master's in Canada, does it add up? Are people even asking those questions?
Wow.
You know, where are you going? Am I a city kid? Do I want to go to North Dakota? If I'm from Toronto, do I want to be in North Dakota?
Yeah.
Or do I want to go to Ryerson? You know, like, it's like, you know, think that what you want. What do you want? And don't settle for anything less, and don't let anybody let you settle for anything less.
Okay.
You know, do what you're supposed to.
There's a question that came through from Mike Scott. He's asking if there's any governing body equal to NCAA, like a Canadian perspective or a matching aspect of it. If you can.
You know, the NCAA is a nonprofit organization that steals money. So no, nobody's like that. You know what I mean? Like no. Sorry. I mean, we can never have the end, like what the NCAA or even what the American community has entirely in basketball and in sport. We'll never get there. if we keep trying to chase what they have, we'll never get there. They're like, I have a saying, if you want to be America in here, you're going to lose to them out there.
Yeah.
And, let's not try to be Americans. Let's try to be Canadians and do it our way and make sure that, we're satisfied with how things roll out, whether we are gold medalists or we finish last. As long as we know we did it like the way that we wanted to do
I
it.
agree. And Steph, just to allude to exactly what you said, she was saying that in terms of the numbers, it's not even close. We need to get more Canadians into D1 schools. And her herself was scared when she was offered. She didn't even want to accept the offer because it was so unknown to her. Right? And she's also saying they don't put enough funding for basketball. So what do you think about that with regards to the funding? Because NCAA is a nonprofit, but they're huge. They're like governing body that everybody adheres or try to be associated with them. The counterpart here in Canada, we don't have that kind of funding of it. So where do you see that going, especially now we just talked about the growth of female athletes? Like where does the money aspect comes in?
Well, I'll say this. Steph, if you're still listening or you're still watching, in 2023, there's definitely going to be some more Canadians. I know there's going to be one special one that's going to be there in 2023. She knows who it is.
Okay.
And, her name is Summer Lee, putting it out there, so she knows. The NCAA, again, we can never reach them. They're generated by TV dollars. Like for them, like the NCAA tournament, everybody watches the first weekend of the NCAA tournament, whether you're a fan or you're not a fan, because it's all about the upsets and the bracket busters and, you filling out a bracket, it just, right. So you think about that, they lost upwards to $1 billion last year because they didn't run a tournament. And that's why they were so adamant. And even with the NBA, why they were so adamant in playing games. What most people don't know about the NBA is that they had a contract with ESPN that every year that they got to play 70 games in order to renew their contract with ESPN. So when, COVID first dropped and, they were well under the line for games, they were in risk of losing that contract, and that would now void it and allow ESPN to restructure their contract for something cheaper. So the bubble was designed, yes, to have a champion, but also to maintain the money for the NBA that's coming in, because that's a lot of money that they're getting from ESPN.
Yes.
A lot of TV dollars, right?
Yep.
So you're talking 7-8 figures, like that's not a game, right? So yeah, we're just not, we're not generated by money. This is, we're a country that's generated by passion. Everyone who's working in the game, in the basketball space in Canada is doing it for passion. They're not doing it for a paycheck. There's not enough interest within the major TV networks to do it. They don't see value in it. And I think that that's a shame, because it's a sport that's growing in our country, and they're so used to plugging in hockey and baseball games. So
and now that the Leafs have made it, or they're starting your thing, like everything is just sort of on the back end for sure.
Oh man, let's not talk about the Leafs. I still got to work for these guys, so let me just.
Hey, what's it called? No comment. Leave it like that. Can't bite the finger, the hand that feeds you, I guess, in the case.
Right.
Also asking about the NAIA. Is there any similar to it, or in terms of even youth sports, the university sports aspect of it? Like, would that be somewhat a little bit of a one-on-one to, or similar to how the Canadian universities run?
Yes. So NAIA, I would say that youth sport is equivalent to NAIA or D3.
Okay.
So D3 doesn't give away athletic scholarships. They give more academic scholarship or bursaries. You gotta have your GPA's got to be through the roof in order to get any type of academic bursaries or scholarships, and that's why for Canadians it doesn't make sense for us to go anything lower than Division II, more so Division I, because as you go lower in the levels, the more you're gonna have to pay, to where it's just like, well, why don't you just go to Canadian University if you're gonna do that? Like if you're gonna go through all this struggle, you might as well do it in a country that and the basketball is not, it's not garbage. It's not it's not what people think that it is. It's tough basketball. Like we didn't win, you know what I mean? Like we didn't walk through we lost to Saskatchewan. Lisa Tomaitis, great coach, and she had no Toronto kids. You know what I mean? Like we got beat by some Canada West, real tough women, and she coached them real well, and that's why she's the senior women's head coach.
Wow.
People underestimate the league. Like our year at Ryerson, I mean, we played Central Michigan. We played we had our non-conference schedule was D1, D2, D3. We played teams.
Wow.
They like we've done it. Like these coaches now in U Sport, they're more connected than they were 15, 20 years ago. There's an absolute change of the guard in coaching in our country. It's a lot younger, a lot more connected, a lot more coaches that that have a history in the modern game and are coming back and getting these positions because most of these other coaches, they're either retiring or COVID drove them out or whatever the case is. They've moved on, and it's great for the game because in order for the game to grow, you got to recycle talent. You can't. We can't have the same coach doing the same thing for 40, 50 years. It just gets, especially if you're not winning, there's got to be, somewhere where you draw the line. So I think that's where now more than ever, the youth sport model is becoming, stronger and stronger. But I also say this, there's more kids, more ladies playing at the younger age levels. So even with, coaches, some of these youth sport coaches, they know they're not getting certain kids. Certain kids are just so laser focused on Division I that like even talking to them, it's airplane for them, and for the parents, they're not hearing it.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's okay because if you're not getting you don't get those kids, but you're gonna get kids that are training and working out with those kids like-minded. They're just not as elevated as those kids, but they're still good. Mm-hmm. They can still play the game. They still know it. They're still playing it at a high level. They're still understanding, learning the concepts. They're doing everything like the main stage player. They're just not the main stage player. Yeah. But the U Sport now is getting that in quality now. So their teams are getting tougher. The games are getting better. And the coaches are doing as best as they can to, recruit talent. It's difficult because you're going up against a crazy monster with the NCAA in Division I. So I watch it. I watch it at our own events, how it happens.
I can imagine those because I'm just trying to put my mind during the early stage, because now everyone sees, okay, female athletes, they're everywhere, How long has a Canletes been around? Because you've been doing this. It's not just the one year you just picked it up and decided I want to focus on Canadian female athletes. Give me the bit of it so that it gives the perspective as to why I'm so passionate, not just now, but even the future in terms of talking about the WNBA even coming into Canada. So,
okay, I'll give you the timeline. Really, it's Eastern was really what started it off. Me being getting that opportunity to coach. I didn't care who I coached. I could have been coaching young boys, young girls. Like it didn't matter. I was so eager to coach, and Roy saw that. Roy Rana, he saw me. He saw that within me. They were winning championships at Eastern, and there was a vacancy for women's basketball. They didn't have a coach for like 2 years, and they didn't have it was like a null and void program. It was like completely dead, like nothing. And I didn't care. I just wanted a coach. I was just more satisfied that it was mine. This is my team. It's going my way. Like we're creating the decisions. The decisions are being made by me. That's what I wanted. I wanted all of that smoke. So, we went out there. I was really, we were successful. We won, in 2009. My mom, she passed away. I was living in Texas at the time. I was working out there. And then when I came back. She lives here in Toronto, and she passed away. And I came back home, and I just wasn't right to go back. And I stayed back and started coaching again. And this time around it's a little different, right? I'm a two-time officer championship coach. People are looking at you different. People are, people are game planning on me now. Like, I'm not the underdog anymore. I'm not the, like, who's this guy? It's like, there he is, so
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, like, I like totally took away my MO. I started to notice that people are watching us play. Like, we'd have like an exhibition game, have like 200 people watching us. And I'm like, this is a high school girls basketball game, senior high school girls basketball game. This is no prep. This is no nothing. And I was like, this is like, how do we capture this? Like, how do we capture this moment? Because I'd never seen that before in a women's game, where there was so many people, not just there to just be there. Like, they were in the game. Like, they were into it. Like, it was like, these are their fans. These are our fans. They were like, it was incredible. And I saw that a couple of times that year. And I was like, well, how do I capture this? So, not thinking about women's basketball, I wanted to do an alumni game for Eastern to kind of bring people, the Eastern community together. I called it a battle of the generations. I got, the men's, some of the, top level guys that played for Eastern Commerce boys team. And obviously I knew the girls program, because there was my program. So we just had like a one-day event where we had, exhibition game, Eastern boys against each other, Eastern girls against each other. And, people from the Eastern community, they came out, they loved it. It was great. And I was like, okay, well, now that I've captured this, like, how do I capture a bigger audience?
Yes.
So, I was like, okay, well, now let's open this up now. So, I got Henry Carr, because I had good relationships with Paul Melnick. And, you can't have Henry Carr and not have MT, because that's their rival. And, Oakwood and Eastern, we all know in our city was this, like, the biggest rival for high school. So, we got those together. Plus, got a group of women that, did really great things in GTA for basketball, and had like a, a one-day thing that, again, spanned into like 5 years of running the event. And that really jump-started everything, because I now saw how to market. I saw how, like, what my market was, who am I targeting, what kind of things they like, what kind of things they don't like, and just continue to improve and carve. And then pushing it back into the women's space, one thing I knew I had to do was, do something in memory of my mom, because she passed away from breast cancer that year. And I could not do anything in our organization without doing something to that, like with that. Leanna Osei, she's a young woman who lived in my house when she was growing up. Just because she lived super far. Like, she lived at Wonderland going to Eastern, and, as a 14, 15-year-old, like, this is 2003, like, you just can't get to Wonderland.
He
Like,
wasn't that flexible at that time. I know.
no. So, when I told her the idea of Shoot for a Cure, she's just like, bet, do it. And, that turned into, this would have been, no COVID, this would have been our 10th season doing it. We were able to raise, a lot of money for the Canadian Cancer Society. It's something geared towards women's basketball. The whole concept is for these young ladies to learn about self-examinations, knowing that it's okay, that, if you feel a lump in your breast, go to the doctor, check it out, and even not just them, just everybody in general, self-check, do all those things, because, you don't know.
Yep. It's a mistake, but yeah.
You don't, yeah. Got me? Okay, perfect. Yeah,
No, I
sorry?
got you. Yeah, I hear you. Don't
Okay,
worry. It's
yeah,
just like times in between it pauses and it refreshes, so that's okay.
gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Good.
So,
Um, One thing I also wanted to bring it to attention, especially for the baller moms that have female athletes. And I know you talked a little bit about, not focusing just only on going outside the States. There is option also for even Europe or other parts of
mhm.
the world. right? So what's your perspective on that as well too? Because as much as Canada is great and like as you were giving the numbers of how many actually going through the portal to stay within Canada, those who are still interested to go in the States, what's the numbers like or your perspective for even outside of US, outside of the North American realm and playing as we call overseas?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. I think that if I could replay life again, and I can be 15, 16, 17 years old, living in this lifestyle that we're living, limitless in terms of where I would want to go.
Okay.
I would search for every option. Like I think that when I was growing up, and definitely not trying to date you or age you right now, but like when you were growing up, like the options of, the access of information of where things are. Like they have it at their fingertips. We had to
Had to go to
pop in the modem
you
and
had to get the encyclopedia, you had to make phone calls, floppy disk. I know, don't worry.
exactly. So I think that for this generation of kids, just don't be so squared in to being in America. Reality is this, women's basketball, the lifespan of women just playing sports in general, is not as high once they pass 25.
Wow.
That women are, it's solely based on they're just more educated. They know what their earning power is, and they know that it's not in athletics. If speaking on Kenesha Giles, she's going on to be a lawyer. Why would she make this basketball money? It's good right now. It can set you up and into the next thing, into the next phase. But why not grind now and get that lawyer money? And not really have to hustle and damage your body and break it down and go halfway across the world and be away from family. And for women, that's everything. To me, women are nurturers, right? So they're not trying to stray as far away from who supports them. Women they yearn for constant support. That's why in my opinion, why they don't stray as far as men. Men look for support wherever they land.
Everything.
You know what I mean? Like if I'm in that in Congo, I'm looking for support there.
Yeah.
A woman could land in Congo, but is still trying to get support from Toronto.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's why, in my opinion, why they after a certain point in time, just like I have this degree here. It's gonna. I already had these plans in my mind to do these things. They have a more realistic plan in terms of how they structure things from when they get into university to when it ends, to if they can continue to play, they will. Can they play for long? If they're there 5, 6, 7, 8 years, that's a great career for anybody, male or female. To have that amount of time to play, but they're more realistic in jumping into their careers and or starting families. Some women just they're just like, what, at 25 I want to have my first child, and I've heard that many times with former players, and at 25 they had children. So
Yeah. For sure. So another question I wanted to make sure that we touch point on is you mentioned some more different events that you've done pre-COVID. What is it that you're doing now to still keep your contacts, your athletes, your students together? I know you said a little bit earlier, even if it's 5 minutes, go ahead and do it and dribble and do something, which is great. But just that connectivity to keep it still going, because right now we're physically distancing, but we don't have to be socially distant. So what are some of the things that you're doing, or you would encourage anyone that, sort of going through the bends and up and down, because every week there's a new announcement that we don't know what we're doing, right?
So we don't do anything. Like we're strictly event based. We support programs, teams, coaches. We don't assist them on the we won't necessarily
Okay, hold on. You're a little bit lagging, but that's okay. Give me 1 minute. We're gonna refresh.
Yeah, I'm breaking up here.
Okay. I can hear you though, so you can go ahead. It's refreshing. 1 second. Sorry, everybody. That's the thing about Instagram. Sometimes it just times off, and we're still within our 1 hour allotment, so I'm not sure why. But Kareem, if you can just refresh it, and then we'll be able to continue. 1 second. And again, thank you to everybody that has been joining in. If you do have any questions that you want to pose to Kareem, please do let me know, and I will be sure to make sure that we have it answered. Yeah, we just refreshing, and we're going to be joining again. And the point of discussion that we're doing right now is trying to talk about what Canletes is currently doing to still keep the athletes and the students together. And can you hear me now? Refresh. Hi, Tanya. Okay, great. I think we're good now. Sorry, everyone. This is sometimes life things don't go as is, but it's okay. That's just part of what being in 21st, 22nd, whatever century we're in right now. We don't talk about last year. We talk about 2019. So just while we have a little technical difficulties, I'm going to try again and see if that works, and we will continue discussing. Like I was saying before, though, if you do have any questions that you want to know, even if your athlete is not a female and you have anything specific related to, sports here in Canada, developing your skills, understanding how it works, and you want Kareem, to provide any answers for you, do let me know. Put it in the comment section. We will be sure to make sure that we get that answered for you. We're just rounding up. It's a few more minutes and we're done, but there is technical difficulties in the moment, and we will definitely continue to have him back and see where we can finish up with it again. And thank you, Steph, for continuing to be so engaging. I appreciate that. All right, there we go. I think he's going to come back now. And who else do I still have here? Let me see. There we go. We're going to try again. I also appreciate everybody's patience. Thank you. And I can hear you now. It's a little bit lagging, but that's okay. All right. Hey.
All right, sweet, sweet, sweet. Don't know where I left off. I had to switch phones here.
That's fine. You were talking about what Canletes has been doing so far, and the different organizations or leagues or clubs that you work with to continue to make sure that the students and the athletes you work with are engaged.
Right, right. So
Thank
yeah,
you.
we don't because we're like big event based, right? So we want to have. I'm not into having like small pods. I always want the big show. So I want the 80 plus kids, 50 plus kids. That if we're gonna do something, we want to make sure because we're the only ones that really kind of dominate our space. So we have to. We always looked into mass because we're the only ones that was really plugged into that space. So for what we did, instead of last summer, we tried to do some outdoor activities. We have, Big Mike. He came out for a couple of weeks in the summer to do some workouts with some kids. It just didn't really go well because people, it was early in COVID. People were kind of anxious. Can we do it? Can we not? What are the numbers looking like? So what we did was we just went into the virtual world and did more virtual things. Like this past year, we did research and looked up all the Canadian women. That's where I was able to know the amount of Canadians that were playing in the NCAA, and we covered them from the the beginning of their season all the way to the end. We were able to pick a freshman of the year, Aaliyah Edwards, Sage Stover from Vancouver, BC, North Vancouver, BC. She was player of the year. It gave me specifically, because I was doing a lot of the research, a look at, where our athletes coming from.
Yes.
In Canada. Because I do believe once we get out of COVID, this information that we've picked up, that we're going to be able to utilize it in helping strengthen the women's programs and women's basketball in our country. So not necessarily, we wanted to do anything on the field or on the court, because again, we do those things, and by trade professionally, that's doing setups and takedowns for events is what I do. So that's never going to change. Like we're always going to have that detail in our back pocket.
Yeah.
But it was more so like, well, what else are we going to do to service the community? Because a lot of people, again, our GTA bubble believes that like 100+ kids are going to D1 every year. And there was a conversation that I was having with a parent. I was like, do you even know how many kids are at D1 right now? And she was like, no. And I was like, I don't know either. So, I'm going to research this and bring it back to you so that you know, because it's not easy to get there. And, kudos to the men and women, the young men and women that are there, because it's, you're talking about 1% of the 1%ers that are playing at that level. So it's a great accomplishment.
To the parents, I say it's a good reality that you provide to parents, and it's not. We always say we know it's not easy, but to have the numbers also support it and see how it works and how the metrics are, definitely understand that. Okay, reassess, where do I fall, which path can to go, which is the best way to go. Canletes and has been around for years, but there are new people coming in that I've noticed are also coming in. Everybody's coming in that they're scouting, they're recruiters, they're supporters, and things like that. What makes you more different, other than the longevity and the credibility that you have? That if any parent right now is, I want to associated with Canletes, but there's this new flashy colors and flashy designs and new, because everybody's social media savvy now. So if you can do nice full viral video, everybody think But what are some of the things you would tell the parents and say, yeah, you can be entertained by the flash side of it, but this is where real work comes in, and this is what differentiates us. So what were some things that you can say about Canletes that makes it stand out, so that gets where I want to make sure that I'm getting the right assistant, the right stuff?
So I see my man KP on the line here. He's saying his relationships, and definitely that's number one. He's the one gentleman that's in America, that lives in New York City, and we connected. Amazing guy. I talk to him periodically, especially through the pandemic. So I would say that. Like for me, I'm going to give you all the facts, really. Like I'm doing the research, and I'm bringing you back what I found. Whatever you want to do with my information, if you want to take it and use it, if you want to take a piece of it and use it, if you don't want to take none of it, that's up to you. But this is the information that I was able to look up, and being truthful and being genuine to it. I don't have an invested interest in that the space like that. I don't have children that are Canletes represented. I don't have a kid that's trying to go D1. Like, there's no invested interest for me. So for me, I just look at it for what it is. Mm-hmm. Your daughter plays like this. So based on how she plays, through my relationships, this is where, what we can do. Okay. Now, if it's not what you like, again, you can take it and use it for whatever you would like. However, this is what it is. This is what we can do. I'm never going to oversell anything or I'm never going to sell anything that I don't have or I can't do. Okay. Because then that's expectation and that's credibility, and that it goes into everything that I've embodied and encompassed in my 20 years. I would have never made 20 years if I was the Joker. People would have seen that I was that, and they would have been like, this guy's always talking about. For me, it's
knowledge and the ability to just give you straight facts. And so for any other moms watching, that authenticity, you want that honesty, that's the way to go. Like I said, anybody can create nice, fancy designs, colors, and do things. But if there's no substantial thing to support it and speak to you, I guess the way you really need it, I guess you're not setting yourself up for the path. Um, with that being said, make sure that it's not an easy thing, whether you're doing it within Canada or U.S. Where does the academic aspect comes in terms of from your side providing that real life say, hey, getting a B is not enough, or getting a C is okay, or you need to be like 100% A in all of these, like, and in terms of making sure that these athletes understand the importance of academics at all levels.
Uh, Here's the thing: women's basketball, you seldom worry about education because they're very focused in the academic piece. So if you have a high performance young lady, chances are she's high performance everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Aaliyah Edwards isn't just a high performance athlete on the court. She embodies that in her everyday life, everything that she does. So you get kids like that, and you search for kids like that. You don't have to tell them that. That's also again that's parental advice that they're giving their children. Hey, academics, you want to get to college, university, you got to be like this, and they set that pathway for us. We don't have to tell those kids anything. And that's the easy part. Boys basketball, a little bit different, a little bit different, just a little bit. But you have to motivate them just a little bit harder, push them a little bit tougher, to get the academics. But with women, it's a little bit easier. You just know, like, if she's an accelerant basketball player or athlete, chances are she's going to be very studious student in the classroom.
Oh my gosh. And I just want to, we're winding down with all the different knowledge shared here. What is one of the, other than winning your championship at Eastern or Ryerson and the accolades and all of that, I mean, those are great, beautiful things that shows your dedication for this long term and being sport and still the way for female basketball here in Canada. What is your future, foresight, including the WNBA that you've mentioned? Like, how far do you see it going? Because, for instance, in soccer has gone as high as even competing at the highest level with at the soccer's highest level. But when it comes to basketball, where do you see it for female perspective within Canada? What's your projection or where you're working that we hope we can all jump on it and support you to get there?
See, like, the basketball for women's basketball doesn't dominate in our country in comparison to the other women's sports.
Yes.
So they're like third or fourth on the list, right? Like soccer, track and field, all the non-contact sports are where you see majority women or young girls fall into for whatever reason, whether they got cut from the main team with all their friends, or they got injured, or whatever the case is. Like, we lose so many young girls to other sports in our country. Wow. That are much more built up and established, because basketball, it's not that it's tough. We just didn't have the facilities. Prior to COVID, like, I mean, now after COVID, like, we have all these gyms now. And, before then, we didn't have anything, right? So
it was all through the schools, and it was hard to get spots. So I say it was all through the schools, and if schools using it, you can't get it. Like, it's yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now it's totally different now. So I would say, like, we gotta do a better job in keeping these young girls interested in playing basketball, because it's so easy for them to just say, "Hey, we're out, and we'll do something else." So it's developing different ways to keep them engaged to it. I think that would be the main thing. WNBA is coming. They have to. They have to.
Would be ready before COVID.
Yeah. Here's a fun fact. MLSE, to me, MLSE is the only group organization that has the money to throw away and not necessarily worry about losses. Not to say we don't have billion-dollar men in our country, but do they want to take the risk of a WNBA franchise when a group like MLSC dominates the sports and entertainment space in our country? So just by default, it's going to be them. They have every professional team. They have no women's professional team. They support none of them. Okay, there's none.
Point. Yeah, you're right.
So if matching up with their equity, inclusion, and diversity piece that they've put in recently, this is the biggest step that they could make that would show the country, that they're serious on the movements that they're making in that direction. In my opinion, I believe that it has to come. Now, don't get me wrong; it's not going to come next year. There's no way that it can. It's going to take a process. It's going to take some time, but to at least start make the steps, towards that. And I think that they are subliminally, Tangerine Bank, is part of the WNBA, and they're part of the Raptors. And, it's the pieces of.
That's a really good move in terms of starting to see the waters and see how it is there. And there's a huge acceptance and welcome to it. It's a great initiative. But and you've mentioned about the boardroom. If and when there is a boardroom meeting, please do let me know. People be there. We will do what we can to make sure you provide the numbers, we provide the audience, we show the interest and say, hey, we're ready. We are ready for it. And it's not even just for the female, but even just for the males to see there's that vested interest in developing here for Canada as well too, so that they too themselves, see it, that it doesn't always have to be outside. So yeah, get into those boardrooms, keep mentioning it. I'm definitely ready for that support. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I totally didn't hear anything you just said. I'm sorry.
No? I
yeah.
would say once you get into the boardrooms, do provide the voice to it. And when you do need additional voices, you have the numbers. You need additional voices for us to be able to still support from moms and parents. We are ready. We got we have to fill a petition, whatever. We're ready. We're ready to support to get that going, get that footprint going on here for Canada, especially in Toronto too, right? As one clubs, even if it's not here, Vancouver, Montreal, the big 3 cities, there's opportunities there that we can definitely push through to get that talks going. I agree. And I don't think you're lagging. Okay, good. You're not. To round it up, last question, just to make sure, what is it that you need from the volleyball community or the Toronto basketball, Canada basketball community? Is there anything that you need anyone to be aware of, to support, to see in upcoming events that we can do to support you?
Well, definitely, I would say the most help that we would need is to, all the baller moms and everybody watching to follow Canletes Sports, Canletes_sports. Continue to support, what we're doing, the initiatives, because it's coming from a good place. We're doing this to, to create a movement and to create an energy that, that can't be replicated by anybody else, and just continue to support us. And if you have any young, prospective female student athletes or non-athletes, check out our Instagram page, fill out the questionnaire that we have in our bio, and go into our database and just continue to stay updated with things that we're doing. And when we get that WNBA team, that we hope that all you guys are there too as well.
We'll be there, front row seats. I have my cheering hat ready to go. To round it off for you, I keep saying to round it off, then I say one more. So sorry, in the interest of time, what is the stuff have done for yourself during COVID? To just say, hey, I'm going to do this for me. You've been doing a lot in terms of giving back through your work, your association, your relationships, but for yourself, what have you done for yourself?
And I lost my mom in 2009, like I said, and I don't think that my life has it definitely hasn't been the same. Uh, but I felt that this year I was able to get my life back, to where at least where I left off prior to her dying, because it was, I was only 25 at the time. I was young and a single parent home where she was mom and dad. And you know what I mean? So you lose somebody like that, so significant at such a young age, you kind of just like lose yourself, and you block a lot of blessings. And I would say that this past last year, not being able to see any of my family because I mean I'm the only one that lives in Canada. Like all my sister, my uncle, my brothers, they all live in America, so I haven't seen them for 2 years. So it's you get to, especially being at home, you get to sit down and you think and you evaluate and you assess and you ask yourself, where do you want to be? Where do you want to be? What are you trying to do? And just that alone time of figuring things out is what brought me to this point right here.
Wow.
And I'm just blessed that I'm able to be here today, and I'm blessed that I was able to be on breakfast television, and everything that myself and Leanna's worked for,
Yes.
with Canletes for the last 10 years. It's finally coming to to a point where it's being recognized at a certain level, and I'm just soaking it in all this time. So I mean, doing for me, that's everything. That right there for me is what I've done for myself for the last year.
I'm glad, and my condolences to your mom in heaven for you. And it's it's not always easy for people to always open up about certain things that meant so much to them. But like you said, using the year as a reflection, and not just on yourself, but even realizing that still continue to give back, that's commendable. So kudos to you for that, and all the all the shine that you're getting, you deserve it. So yeah, soak it all in, take it. It's all well deserved. But anything we see, we'll continue to share, we'll continue to post, because as I always say, we all rise when we support each other. But if anything else does come up, you need me to, provide that information and share it, I'll definitely tag it. I mean, right now, that's what we do, just tag it. But, send a message through the BCCA basketball group, message me directly, whatever, anything. We'll get it out there. And thank you. So I just want to write it up to anybody else that's going to watch a little bit later. This is Kareem Griffin. He is one of the founders of Canadian female athletes in Canada, mainly for basketball. He has been in the sports field for many years. He knows what he's talking about. He knows how to build relationship, and he gives you straight facts and let you know exactly where you stand. And I appreciate you coming here and sharing your story and advice. I would definitely recap all the good gems that you did, you provided, and tag Canletes Sports so that anybody else looking to join and get more information knows where you are and how they can proceed. So thank you so much.
Hey, listen, I enjoyed it. I've been watching from afar, all your episodes. I think that, what you've done is great. You've captured an audience. You targeted, an audience of people that are often neglected. People forget about the moms, and, what you're doing is totally amazing. And anytime that you need me to, you want me to be on your show, definitely just send me a message. And anything that we're doing or I'm doing,
Yeah.
I'll definitely shout out to you. And
Yeah.
thank you very much for having me on here. It was special, and
Yeah.
we look forward to seeing you when we actually can go outside and
In person.
do stuff.
Oh, I know. That's the thing about it. You can't see physically, but I feel like I've connected with people more, even though we've been in timeout, than I've ever would have been if I was already running around all the time. So there's blessings in everything, I guess. So I'll take it that way for sure.
No,
All
absolutely,
right.
absolutely. Thank you very much. So,
All right. Have a good rest
all
of the
right,
day. Thank you,
all
everyone.
right. Take care, Gifty. Bye,
Bye.
everybody.